Hello, now I will show you the second part of my video about my algraphy work, my lithographic work. I will call it. This is a kind of lithography. There you see a thin plate covered with aluminium foil, and I'm painting it with my lithographic crayons. Two types of smoothness I use. You should never use hard lithographic pencils, otherwise you could hurt the very sensible thin aluminium layer. It's just to protect the parts with some oily substance, the lipophilic areas, which later on will be painted with the printing ink, and spare out the parts that will be etched and will be hydrophilic, attracting to water. Never touch the surface because your hands always have some oil on it. Later on we will etching the aluminium surface and producing little holes. There you see the etching bath. It's vinegar. It's another painting, but that doesn't matter. Just to show you the principle of the etching process. You could move the bath a little bit around for producing thin holes which will contain water. Meanwhile, we prepare the printing ink with a spatula, which I'm sharpening on a stone just to mix the printing ink. For pigment I use the same I use in my lithographic crayons. It's a lampros. It's some kind of very fine graphite or charcoal particles which I find in my chimney, and as a base I use the line oil seed, non-cooked line oil seed, which also I use in my kitchen for making me a good salad. I'm pressing and spreading out the ink on a plate of glass and mixing it and roll it out with a soft roller, and to get a very fine dispersion of charcoal particles in the oily line seed oil base, collecting the spread out printing ink with the spatula and repeating the process of spreading out the color several times just to get the finest dispersion of the pigments. You could also use black iron oxide for pigment in your ink, and at the final you get a very thin and smooth layer of printing ink, which looks like some kind of black velvet and no more reflecting the light of the sun. This is a lipophilic oilic base of the part which later will be printed. Now the aluminium plate comes out, or the aluminium foil comes out of the etching base. There you see it. It has to be wetted with water, and there you see that the painted parts attract the oily base of the printing ink, and the parts that are etched are spared out because the little holes contain water. These little holes contain a very thin surface of aluminium hydroxide or aluminium oxide, and are the same hydrophilic water attracting holes that have the plates which used by Sennefelder for the classical standard process of lithography. There you see my self-made printing press. I put some wetted soft paper over it. It's a normal printing press which I use for xylography. Putting some felts over it, and the pressure is about 500 pounds. It's nothing more, just to suck off the flat printing process, suck off the color. You could make about 20 of printings. I think for an artistic manner this is enough, and after this 20 printings the plate is auto-destructed. Lifting off the paper, you see that nearly all of the color of the aluminium foil plate is removed by this printing process. If you want to see more of my work, you're invited to visit my homepage. And finally I will show you in this picture the product of one of the 20 printings I've done. Goodbye.